Hey, hey.
Hey, y'all.
How's everybody doing?
Well, apparently somebody's happy over here.
Ah,
You want to come say hi? Come here. I am doggy sitting Bambi. Come on, over here. Say hi. So apparently Bambi wants to be on the show.
okay.
So this
Look
is
at
Bambi.
that puppy.
Cute little thing. She's an old girl, but she's very protective of me. Yeah, you're on the podcast. You are. You are, huh? She's I don't know about this. I don't know about this.
What's up with this podcast thingy?
Let me see if I can get a picture of her on the podcast.
Yeah.
All right, you go be a good girl. You go lay down. You go lay down. You go.
So today's episode, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to talk about gin, what mixes with it, and we chose sub sandwiches for our food. All right, and I'm just curious, where'd you get your sub sandwich from?
I got mine from Jimmy John's, Freaky Fast Delivery. Although I didn't get it delivered, I went and I picked it up myself.
Okay, now I got mine from Firehouse.
You know, I thought about Firehouse because Firehouse is a little bit farther away from me. But there is a Firehouse. It would have taken me 10 minutes to get there and probably 20 to 25 to get back.
Yeah.
And Jimmy John's is walking distance, although it is 90 degrees out, so I was not about to walk. But I looked up Jimmy John's, and it was their history that really.
Yeah. I noticed we got the history in today's history section. But yeah, I went Firehouse is closest to me. So
okay.
There's not a Jimmy John's closer because I was looking for a Jimmy John's or a Jersey Mike's.
Oh yeah.
All right. And truthfully, there's the ones that 20 years ago. You remember what 20 years ago? The three we just mentioned 20 years ago you couldn't find across America.
Right. You had Subway.
Subway. No, what else? No, there was another one other than Subway that was kind of well known 20 years ago. That's still around, but not as popular. I think they were more known for their heated sandwiches, but they were a sandwich bar.
Oh, yeah. I remember. That was like very specific. Yeah, they would. Yes, I know what you're talking about.
Anyone in the comments? Come on, someone's got to know it. Yeah.
I do remember. It's been a while. Oh, my goodness. I remember going there once in a while because they were so expensive.
Yeah. And they were heated sandwiches. Now, there's a third one, and it may be that one. I'm not sure if it was that one, but it was Quiznos was the other one.
Quiznos. Actually, Quiznos is one, yes. That's what I was thinking of was Quiznos.
Okay, no, I was thinking Quiznos was another one, but there was one that was specifically heated, and it might have been Quiznos that was heated sandwiches. And remember, it was whoever had the heated sandwiches, whether it's Quiznos or somebody else, they kind of pressured the sandwich market to have the heated option. Yes. So, because remember, Subway didn't have that.
Right. They were all.
Oh, yeah. And I know, and like when I went to Firehouse today, they didn't ask me if I wanted heated. I just upfront said it. But I know now you go into a Subway or you go into a Jersey Mike, they ask you if you want it heated.
Yes.
I don't want mine heated.
I don't either. It's not my thing. It's not my favorite.
Yeah. So anyway, here's my sandwich. You got yours prepped up. We can put sandwiches up.
I didn't put mine. Mine is still here.
Yours is still wrapped. Okay, yeah, I took mine off the wrapping and put it in. Okay. Now remember, mine came in a container. This is what Firehouse's pops them in a container.
Yeah, I love that. I do love that. So this is
the wrapping. Most of the sandwich places are the wrapping, but which one did you get?
I got. And it's very specific because they want you to call it by their name.
Yeah.
And so I got what is the number 9, but it does have a name. Let me see if I can find it. It's not in here. Shoot. Because I specifically got this one. Ooh, here it is. Italian Nightclub. Found it. Yeah. It's my Italian Nightclub.
Firehouse's Italian looked to be like a heated sandwich, and I didn't want that.
So this one has salami, capicolo, ham, provolone, onions, lettuce, tomato, although there's a tomato, mayo, olive and vinegar, and oregano basil. I did ask them to add cucumbers because cucumbers sounded really good because I saw that on their veggie And I thought, oh my goodness, that sounds so delicious. But at the same time, I was like going, that's not what I wanted. Well, we had talked about a cold cut. I didn't usually, I would put it on a plate, but I didn't this time. So,
Well, part of what we wanted to do with today's show was kind of like the summer refreshing things, not
yes.
heavy, not weighed down type food or drink. These are usually, and I know most of the mixtures I got today are lighter mixtures to make with a light gin drink.
Yes.
All right. And the Subway sandwiches were all Subway. Not, I want to say sub sandwiches were always a lighter. Yes. Now, the one thing that that I remember growing up, we didn't call them. I grew up in Pennsylvania, and we didn't call them sub sandwiches. You know what we called them? Hoagies. We call them hoagies. And I remember when I moved to Massachusetts. Now I've lived in Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Texas. That I've had long-term residences in all 4 of those states. And I remember moving to Massachusetts and saying I wanted a hoagie, and people go, "What?" Because they'd never heard it called a hoagie up there. They called it a sub sandwich, which still I still call it a hoagie, I guess, in a way. I went with roast beef, and the reason being is like I really didn't see anything on the Firehouse things that was like I was looking for a cold cut.
Yeah,
is what I was looking for, a cold cut combo, but they didn't really have anything listed on the menu. And this is, and I wanted to do this for so look, if you work at a sub or if you work at a Firehouse Subs, your menu was not explanatory. All right.
Right.
And your staff should be. Now, I went to, when I was in Palm Springs, a couple months ago, I went to Palm Springs for a music event, and I went into, I believe it was a Jersey Mike's next to the Starbucks. It might have been. I'm actually gonna go look it up and tell you what it is while Gladys is doing the history, and I'll get back to you on it. But when I walked into that place, the staff there was so nice and informative. They informed me of the process. They informed me of the menu. They informed me of what they could do, and they informed me of what the sandwich sizes were. They jumped up to explain their menu. In Firehouse, now I'm not picking on the lady and gentleman who helped me today, but they weren't informative. They relied on me using the menu,
which isn't very helpful
which isn't helpful. All right, that is what I mean. This is part of why. I mean, and I did not tell them they were going to be on the podcast tonight. Now my liquor store, they know I'm going to mention them on the podcast. They just do.
So I have all sorts of things that I did that I'm like, oh my goodness, where do I start? There was the fever like tonic. It had so much sugar in there that I went, oh, I don't know that I want this. At least not for my purposes, because the whole purpose of the light is to have it light, not have all the calories. And it had all the calories and it had all the sugar. And I went, yeah, that's not what I want. So I'm going, because I do have a few options with Q Mixers light tonic water. What I love about this one,
Q Mixers tonic. I have just Q Mixers tonic.
Oh my goodness,
There's
I need
one of mine, which I'll do first.
We're both with the same. All right, so hold on. All right, put it up because this is fun. Love it, love it. So I have that, but I also got the other thing that I grabbed was a berry lemonade, because usually you want a gin with the lemonade. And so I got the berry lemonade to make it a little bit more fun, which goes with the recipe that I did find. The other thing you can do, lemon lime.
Okay, yeah, I was going to do just plain lime juice.
Yeah.
All
and
right.
The other thing that I found that I was like, I had to try it, was as I was getting, because I did do grocery shopping yesterday, was that there is a new creamer that I was like, oh, well, this is kind of cool. It is called, and I didn't bring the whole thing, but it's a Coffee Mate Orange Cream Pop. So this one, you can make a dirty soda with it. They say to use Crush, but I ended up buying Fanta because it was the thinner one. And I did a small taste test yesterday, and I went, ooh, I gotta do this on the podcast.
Uh-huh.
So, but that one I'm gonna make a little guy. I'm gonna make a little one. But when you're doing a gin and tonic, it's quite interesting. So I will give you a little bit of information first on the gin and tonic before on the subs, because that'll be kind of fun. But on the gin and tonic, it is very specific. Because most people say, well, if you have the gin and tonic, you can make a gin and tonic. Well, yes, but no. And then there's the glassware, and then there's the garnish. So from glassware to garnish to style of gin to the spirit proof, everything is very specific. So the potent base is 45% alcohol by volume and above. So I do have the Blue Coat American Dry Gin. This one is 47% alcohol by volume. And then Botanist, this one is the Insulate Dry Gin, and this one is 46% alcohol by volume. So both of them will make a good gin and tonic. A lot of times they say an American gin would work. Well, I have both of these are dry because they're not as junipery forward, and because I don't like that. And I've realized that both of these, Botanist was the first time when I tried Botanist, or the Botanist, correction, the Botanist. This one, the first time I tried it, it was at a, some foo-foo bar. And this is what, and I tasted it and I went, oh, I can hang with that, because it does have some great flavors. Even though they do have juniper in it, it wasn't that in your face junipery forward. So I really liked it. Another one that I found recently was Gompers, which I do have Gompers vodka here, but I did try Gompers gin and I really like that. But back to the gin and tonic. If you really mean business, then it is 2 parts. 2 parts gin, 2 parts tonic to 1 part gin. So 1 ounce, 2 ounces. Okay. So that is the whole, the main thing. And it should be in a highball. And of course, ice goes in there. If you put too much gin, then the botanical spirit will overshadow that unique qualities of the tonic. Too much tonic will drown your gin. So hence it's very specific. Some tonics are very dry and straightforward. So there's a little bit of the quinine. So there is quinine in here. There is ingredients: carbonated water, erythritol, sugar, citric acid, natural flavors, and quinine. Because quinine was what was the main, and it was powdered quinine that used to be used. And then, of course, there's the tonic. So with the tonic, some people choose lemon, some choose lime, some prefer grapefruit, a rosemary sprig. So really orange, a blood orange, or even thyme. So whatever you prefer, you could do that. You can even muddle some cucumber and some fruit to do a little extra refreshment, which goes with one of the recipes that I'll share shortly. So there is a very impressive resume that could make a great gin and tonic. So originally the quinine powder was mixed with soda water and then a little bit of sugar to make it more palatable. But then they started making some elixirs for commercial use. Then the tonic made it an easy way to mix with the gin. Today, there is a lot less quinine than past productions and a little bit sweeter. The Fever even had an elderflower tonic, so that way you got those flavors in there, which I was considering, but because of the sugar content, not that I'm checking my sugars, but I was trying to reduce it, and I said, I don't think so. But it's very easy to make. So 2 ounces of gin, 4 ounces of tonic water, garnished with a lime wedge or a seasonal of your preference in a highball. This is a highball. This is a highball that you can use. Put in your ice, your tonic water, your gin, and then you stir. This one is a gentle stir, and then you garnish with your lime wedge. left my lemon, I left my lime, I left that at home, so I don't have it here. So we'll do without. A garden gin and tonic. So this is the one that I was talking about. It is 1.5 ounces of beef eater gin is what it calls for. And then a half an ounce of Dublin Blanc vermouth. You can use, and I think I do have that here. So I do have that. 2 dashes of orange bitters, then your tonic water on top. You're going to garnish it with cucumber, grapefruit, a lavender sprig, and a lemon wheel, and even strawberries. So cucumber, grapefruit, lemon, and strawberries. Those are your 4 things. And then the lavender sprig for your for that garnish that you're going to have. Then there's another one that I actually have done, the gin sonic. I didn't know I had a name for it. 1.5 ounces of gin, 2.25 ounces of club soda, 2.25 ounces of tonic water. And then you use a lemon twist. So that's the skin of it, lemon twist. And then, of course, your lemonade. 2 ounces of gin with 4 ounces of lemonade. Garnish with the lemon wheel and a rocks classic course. You got it. The other one that I thought of, but I was like, was the 1928 Sea Breeze, which is Gordon's gin, 2 ounces, 1/4 ounce of grenadine, which I do have, but then 3 ounces of ruby red grapefruit juice, which I do not like. I don't like grapefruit, but that one's it. The gin buck is 1.5 ounces of gin, a half an ounce of lemon or lime, whatever you prefer. And then you top it off with ginger ale or ginger beer. I do have ginger ale at home. I didn't have it here. Otherwise, I would have made that because I have all the ingredients. And of course, a Collins glass and a gimlet. 2 ounces of some good gin, a London dry, which both of these would work out well for that. 0.7 or 3/4 of an ounce of lime juice, 3/4 of an ounce of simple syrup, and then a lime twist or a wheel is what you can do for that one. And then one of my favorites that I have been drinking, even though I didn't like gin, was a French 75. 1.5 ounces of gin, a half an ounce of lemon juice, 1/4 ounce of simple syrup or sugar syrup, and then it tops off with champagne and lemon zest. Absolutely delicious. And then you can go with your martini, 1.5 ounces of gin, dry vermouth to your taste, the lemon strip, of course, in your martini glass. So there's a lot of different things. What I'm going to do today is a classic gin and tonic, and then I'm going to be making the Fanta with the, it's a dirty soda with gin is what I'm going to be doing. And that'll be in a smaller glass for that. So that's what I'm going to be doing. What are you doing, or what have you done?
I did some simple mixtures. Number 1, grapefruit juice. Or not grape, I mean cranberry juice. What I had over last week. Gin and tonic, but however, my gin and tonic, I didn't have lime. I put a splash of lime juice. And then I tried it with ginger beer, and just by itself, ginger beer, not that good. I probably want to add something to it. I think I'm going to add some lime juice to it. But, and the best is the gin and tonic so far, with everything I've got going on.
I think with this one, it's going to be a little bit on the sweeter side. So I'm going to leave that one for a second. But the 45 ounces of calories in this 1 tablespoon.
Yeah.
So I think I put in about 2 tablespoons is what I did. And then I didn't bring my, I'm going to do the dry for that one. It smells really good. I use the, I use my Lady Gin. So Gompers, they have a barrel aged finish, which has that richer caramel color. It was absolutely delicious. So Gompers, barrel aged and tonic with the lemon, a little squeeze of lemon in there. It was really yummy. So I tried that on.
So when I take the ginger beer, add some lime juice, it's much better.
Okay.
A little more refreshing. I was going to do ginger ale because I had both here.
Okay.
But I am going to try something here because I have the one with cranberry juice. I like the taste, but it feels like it's missing something. So I'm going to add some ginger beer to it.
Okay. I'm going to try to measure this because it's so specific that I want to make sure that I have the correct 2-to-1 ratio. With the Botanist. So I'm going to do the gin and tonic with Botanist, and I'm going to do the Blue Coat dry gin with the Fanta and the
Okay, I'm going back to my gin and tonic is the best thing I made.
okay.
And as I've already eaten half my sandwich. All right, it is kind of tried it with all three of them. And the gin and tonic is the best match.
Okay.
Gin and tonic still giving me the refreshing. I really wish I had a fresh lime to squeeze into it. Probably would have enhanced it a little bit more.
Yeah.
But it is my go-to favorite, I want to say, for a refreshing drink with a refreshing summer sandwich. Anyway.
That is pretty yummy. Add a little bit more tonic in there. I'm going to see if I can pour this into my smaller. Almost, not quite.
And usually I have gin in the house. The only gin I had was, I think it was a gin I had from the distillery we went to up in Kansas City, Missouri.
Okay.
And I decided to go get a dry gin, so I went and got in the Botanist. This like dry gin is number 22 is what I got.
Okay. Look how pretty that looks. It's like I haven't mixed it just yet.
Yep. Wow.
That just looks pretty.
It looks like a cool drink.
It tastes like a orange creamsicle. So that's what this is. This is your orange creamsicle. And then this is the gin and tonic.
Mm-hmm.
So this is delicious. Absolutely delicious. The orange creamsicle. I cleansed my palate because I said I was going to drink this one first because I knew the other one would be sweet.
Mm-hmm.
I have to truly cleanse my palate. Actually, I'm going to probably cleanse it with a little bit of tonic water here. So the Q's says 2 ounces of gin and then the entire 7.5 ounces of the mixer, the tonic water. That's what they said. I know I have it in here somewhere. Oh, here it is. I threw it in here. They gave you instructions. So put that there. It says 2 ounces, your favorite gin, full can, less for a stiffer drink, and 1 lime wedge is what Q is saying. Lightened up gin and tonic. Mix it up. Fill a highball glass with ice and add your choice of gin or 0 proof alternative. Pour your Q light tonic water. Gently stir and garnish with a lime or a twist. Job well done. We suggest rewarding yourself before serving others. I think I like that. We suggest rewarding yourself before serving others.
I think that's a rule, unlike the way you drink. That's an unwritten rule in our podcast is you always have to reward yourself with the drink before you give it to someone else.
Well, yeah, because you have to make sure it tastes good. You don't want to give others just, something that's not delicious. So,
which brings me back to, funny memories in pop culture. How many of you remember seeing the movie Coyote Ugly in the early 2000s? So she's at the bar, she's training to be a drinker on the bar. And all the clients are, buying her shots. And she keeps going, well, how do you girls stay sober taking all these shots that people have?
We don't.
And they said, have a chaser beer. And they take the shot and they take the beer, all right, to chase it with, and they spit the
alcohol into the beer
bottle. And then she says, be sure to mark where your beer? Which one's your beer bottle? Because we had an instance one time where someone drank out of someone else's shot bottle, and it was not a pretty night. Which I can only imagine drinking like a ton of, basically like, what was called the kamikaze shot. All right, with everything in it. All right. I can only imagine drinking that off the floor of someone's beer bottle that had been there, tons of shots, spit into it, and taking a sip of that, going, I sure would like a refreshing drink.
Right.
Oh, anyway.
Oh.
So my go-to is kind of the and I'm going to kind of get rid of, because I only had 3 glasses tonight because we were doing 3 things. I'm going to down the 2 that are put aside, the 2 that I don't like, and try a just gin with some lime juice.
Oh,
Why not?
well, you make that.
Again, the idea behind it is what do you want to mix with your gin, right?
Yeah.
You can make a drink, or you could just combine something with your alcohol. No, I think in the next couple of weeks we do vodka, and like I can mix a million things with just vodka and throw in this vodka, throw in that. All right, I drink an awful lot of stuff neat, and I can drink vodka neat. I don't think I could drink gin neat. I don't know. Haven't really tried it.
The botanist
Yeah.
is very nice.
So this is just lime juice with the botanist gin, and probably about 2 shots.
Okay. What do you think?
That's actually quite refreshing.
Yeah, the botanist is pretty yummy.
Just, I mean, yeah. Just buy it. I'm sure the botanist by itself.
Mm-hmm.
The only way I'm going to do it, because I'm out of cups, is my little measure cup.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
All right. And
yeah, take a sip of that, because again, coming from somebody that has never really liked gin, it's always been kind of so junipery that it's like, oh. So I remember the bottle, but I couldn't remember the exact name. And I remember going into Stafford Liquor, and I said, okay, I'm looking for this gin. And I said, which one? I said, I don't remember, but there's the raised words on it. And they go, oh. And they took me, because when you touch it, these letters are all raised. And so
actually, it's pretty good by itself.
Yeah. So it was great. I again, and then now with the blue coat, this one was one that I like. I just don't like that really juniper flavor. Not my favorite.
Yeah, and I know, the juniper thing is not my favorite thing, but like we had the last week we had just regular American moonshine.
Mm-hmm.
I could sip on that all by itself. I actually, if I had this neat sitting in I would probably sip on this. I wouldn't down it as a shot.
Mm-hmm.
I would probably sip on it. All right.
Mm-hmm. Mm. That is one good sandwich. Mm.
That is good. That is a good gin.
So the sandwich is 8 inches. Most places, you get a 6-inch sub. They are 8 inches. At least it's a small one. They didn't have any leftover bread or day-old bread. I love their day-old bread. It's like dirt cheap. It's probably more. I used to buy it for like 75 cents for the loaf.
Yeah.
It's probably more now, but it still was soft, and it would be great, when I was making something at home. But Jimmy John's, freaky fast delivery. I remember the commercials. Oh my goodness.
Yes. By the way, in Palm Springs, the one I went to wasn't Jimmy John's.
Oh, it wasn't? Okay.
Yep. So yeah. And yeah, I chose the wheat bread to put mine on, because I prefer wheat bread over regular white bread.
Okay.
But that's a choice you're going to make when you make a sub nowadays.
Yeah. Let me see if I can get a picture here. And I want a portrait picture. So Jimmy John's, I mean, they've been around for a little bit. Let me see if I can get a.
Don't you have a little bit of history on Jimmy John's?
I do. Okay, so with Jimmy John's, his history goes back determination and passion really is what he's all about. Jimmy John's was founded back in 1983. Jimmy John Leontaub, I think is, forgive me, Jimmy John, for mispronouncing your last name. He lived in Charleston, Illinois, and his father gave him a choice: join the military or start a business. And he went, all right, I'm starting my business. So originally he was going to do a hot dog stand. Hey there, Mark. But he switched to sandwiches simply because of the cost. I would have thought hot dogs would have been a heck of a lot cheaper than making a sandwich, but apparently not, at least not in Charleston, Illinois. So the first location opened with just 4 sandwiches, and they relied on what they called guerrilla marketing. They were like giving out samples, and so it's amazing how whatever you need to do to get your word out there, to get your marketing, to get your brand out there. It now has over 3,000 locations.
Mm-hmm.
So Jimmy, he was 19 at the time. He borrowed $25,000 from his father back in 1983. So it struggled initially, not enough customers. They were handing out sandwiches, samples to build that awareness, and they were in a less than an ideal spot. So location. So he started personally delivering sandwiches to the local college dorms and offering samples to the nearby businesses to attract more customers. And then he ended up buying out after 2 years. He bought out his father because he's like going, nope, this is mine, not my father's. He did not want to share with his dad. So he bought him out. From 86 to 87, he opened up his second and third location in Illinois, which showed he had determination and ambition. And then in 1994, he had 10 successful locations. And so that's when he started his franchising, the franchise concept. And that, of course, growth. He received guidance from experienced franchisors, learning how to manage these multiple locations effectively, consistently across all stores, because that's what you want. When you have a franchise, it's all about consistency across. Wherever you go to Starbucks, no matter where in the world, you're going to get certain things.
Yeah.
McDonald's, the same. So there's certain things that you know what to expect.
Yeah.
He standardized the store layouts, the ingredients, the process to maintain that commitment of speed, freshness, and being a little bit more competitive. Well, then in 2007, this is when things started to change. There was growth, but there was also ownership changes. Weston Presidio, it was a private equity firm, acquired 33% of Jimmy John's, which allowed Jimmy John's to continue to expand. So capital, money. In 2016, Rourke Capital Group purchased a majority stake in the company, and Jimmy John, he retained 35% ownership, and he was still the chairman. And in 2019, Inspire Brands, a company that was affiliated with Rourke Capital and the owners of Arby's, Buffalo Wild Wings, what have you, that's when they acquired Jimmy John's. And with the acquisition, Jimmy stepped down as chairman and then transitioned to an advisory role.
Mm-hmm.
So with over 3,000 that they're also planning to expand. I don't know if they've done it by now, but they wanted to go into Canada and Latin America. So those were some of the international franchise agreements, but they're still focused on that quality, freshness, high quality, fast, reliable, stay true to those core values. But it was a simple idea, hard work, dedication that made him, even at 19, made him very successful, but also he didn't want to go into the military.
Yeah.
So the interesting thing is that they want you to call the sandwiches by their name, because it's not just a turkey sandwich, it's the turkey Tom. Yeah. And it's not just a tuna sandwich, it's the totally tuna. And they say, please use their government issued names. And this one is the, what did I say? Name was the Italian nightclub. So
Yeah.
I am having the Italian nightclub. They do have, it's quite interesting when you look at their website, they have their, they do put it, the toasted sandwiches, the summer, the originals. And then they also have the Little Johns. I love those, and the plain slims, which are smaller versions of it, which I like. The slims don't, it's mainly the bread and the meat. That's it. The smallers are just the inches. I think it's 6 inches.
Yeah.
They call them skinny minis, and then the originals. I love that because those are there's 6 originals: the Pepe, the Big John, the Totally Tuna, the Turkey Tom, the Vito, and the Veggie. The Veggie is the one that got me into like going, ooh, I want cucumbers in mine. So I had cucumbers added. You are going to be paying a little bit more than if you're at Subway, but oh my goodness.
Well, I mean, I hate the fact, this is just me. I'm all about being an entrepreneur. I'm all about creating your own systems. But I hate the fact that when it comes to sub sandwiches, what the name we have mentioned, and you and I swore we weren't going to go there to do this show today, and that is Subway, because the name, the industry standard was Subway. To me, Subway is subpar nowadays compared to what's in the industry. Now, I'm going to use another set of chains, all right, to talk about that par versus subpar. I mean, just because they started the design, they are not the leader in the design today. And that is when we go to what would be called the I guess restaurant. All right, if you want to go with the Hooters. Hooters kind of started the idea. Hooters is horrible in their concept. Now you go to other ones out there, and I remember, I mean, I left the mid to late 90s. I remember Hooters, and I used to love going there and getting crabs, the fresh crabs. All right. They had great wings. Mm-hmm. All right. And then you had, good beers. All right. And drinks. Now their food sucks. You're going there, and I'm not going to a restaurant just to stare at the girls. I'm going there because I'm hungry. I want something to eat. And I'm not going there just to drink. If I want that, there's a local bar. I don't need to go to a food place. They lost their edge. Subway that's exactly where they're at. They've lost their edge. Yeah. I mean, I do not want to go into a Subway store nowadays because I am creeped out by going in there. And I remember during my period of homelessness and growing out of it in 2004 to 2007, 8 time frame, is I worked for Starbucks at night, and one of the things I used to do was a thing of ramen noodles. I would heat up at Starbucks by pouring the water from the tea making water into it, and then I would go to the Subway next door, and they had a 6-inch sub sub of the day for $2.67.
Right. I remember getting the cold cut combo.
The cold cut combo was one day a week. Each day of the week had a different sub.
Yeah, but that was the least expensive, yummy sub. That was my go-to because price point.
Yes.
I was like, when it was in my favorite, I would have liked something else. But you know what? It was good.
Yeah.
Price point was like $2.99, whatever it was. But I love those the sub of the day. I love that.
Well, yeah, I went with the sub of the day because, again, the sub of the day was, I mean, each day was a different one. Right. And the sub of the day was $2.67 with tax here in Texas. And I remember it because, I mean, I was broke. I was living very penniless, all right, at the time. And that would be and then I would have the noodles, the ramen noodles, and that would fill me up for a full dinner at the time, right? And I had to do whatever I could to save money. And it's funny now that, like, I very rarely go into a sub shop anymore. All right. Jimmy John's is one. What's the other? Jersey Mike's is the other one out there. Really good quality. Yeah. And then, like, I went into the Firehouse today. Firehouse I wouldn't have gone into 10 years ago, but oh my God. I mean, I'm going to tell you, that sandwich was delicious. I sucked up every bit of it. And I literally went to get it at 2:00 this afternoon. It is now, 7:30 at my time here. Yeah. So, I mean, to let you know that I didn't open it until 7 p.m. here when I got it at 2 in the afternoon, and it sat in my refrigerator all day, and it was still a great quality sandwich.
Yeah. That's when you know that you have something yummy.
Yeah. And I mean, and I got the roast beef. Roast beef is my favorite.
Mm.
All right, but I like an Italian, and I remember that Subway used to have an Italian.
Oh yeah, spicy Italian. Yes.
No, they had an Italian. I want it was like BMT or something.
Oh yes, the Italian BMT.
Yeah, and I remember I liked that one a lot. Growing up, all right, almost any restaurant, corner store, corner deli, all right, 7-Eleven had a cold cut counter where we would make meat. I mean, I worked a job at 7-Eleven, nights, weekend nights, in the 80s, and I remember us having, cold cut, subs or hoagies we used to make right on site,
Yeah, those were always fun. The Safeway here,
Mhm.
they will make you a sandwich, and they will literally cut the
meat right there.
Yep, they'll do that. I love it.
No, I love that concept. The problem with it is, like the Kroger here does the same thing. They have them out there. They have them in the case. You can go get them. They pre-make them. The problem is they pre-make them with no dressing. It's all on the side. So you got to get home and take it all apart and add the mayonnaise, right? To me, it's the mayonnaise. It's the oil and vinegar that you add to it, right? It's the seasonings you add.
Mm-hmm.
And if you add those seasonings in when you make it and you let it sit for an hour, those seasonings bring that sandwich to life.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like our drink comes to life. Gin will come to life when you add the right things to it. Or as we're doing in this series this month, when you add the right things to your alcohol, it springs to you. Most people are not going to do what I did, cranberry juice and gin.
No. They'll do cranberry juice and vodka.
Yeah, it is suggested when I did a search for suggestions, it came up in the top 3 to do.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me it was lemonade, but then I gin and tonic. I thought, got to do a gin and tonic. And then when I came across this yesterday, as I'm having my dirty soda,
yeah,
I wonder how it would taste. So I put it into one of my little mini glasses, and I put in just a little, literally, probably 0.25 ounces of gin, and then poured a little bit. And I went, okay, I like this, so I'm going to do this today. So if you don't like the taste of something, then don't do it. Find something else. Find what's going to make you happy. If you like sweeter, this is going to taste better than this. If you like drier, if you like the floral, then this is going to be much better than something sweet. And I usually don't do sweet, but I do love my creamer. And so I think that's why I really like that. And I usually don't drink soda, but it was orange and I had to try it. So that's why I got it. And I'm like, hey, got to try it out. But one thing that I used to not like was mustard. I would cook with it, but I really didn't like mustard. And
I will say this: that was the one thing I asked to not have on the sandwich. Was the recipe came with it? I had to ask to not have it on.
Sometimes it just no. And I remember one of the times I was at a specific Starbucks back in 1990 something, and I asked for a 6-inch cold cut combo on white bread, no mustard. And so I'm chatting with one of my friends because it's lunchtime from work, and then all of a sudden I see her pour mustard, and I was like, did I just see her pour mustard? And then she got the knife, and then she scraped it off, and I turned and I looked at her and I said, you will start all over because the taste of the mustard is not coming out, and I do not like mustard. So she was like, she looked at me, I said, you start all over. I'm not paying for that sandwich. I'm like, I told you specifically no mustard. If I hadn't said it, I will suck it up. I would have said, can you scrape it off? And I would have sucked it up. But I specifically said that. So I was not about to pay for a sandwich when I said something that I knew I was not going to like. Oh, that flavor would have been there. I was like, nope. I remember, to this day, 20 some odd years later, I still remember.
Well, I mean, we learn the things over the years that what we like in something and what we don't like. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I remember my brother early on. I mean, I've been a fan of Starbucks for years. I've always loved Starbucks since I moved to Texas. To me, it is I go there twice a day, for crying out loud. I spend a small fortune there. my brother going to Starbucks one time, talking to me on the phone, and he gets like a coffee frappuccino, and coffee frappuccinos don't come with whipped cream. But every time he's seen them making a frappuccino and putting whipped cream, and no whipped cream on mine, no, because he didn't want it on his. And apparently someone put it on one time, and he did not like that. And that's you know what you like. All right. I mean, and that's and that's why we have this podcast, is to find out what we do like. Because a lot of things on this podcast, if it was up to me, we would do like, I think, vodka, bourbon, moonshine probably every week. All right. But we put a lot of things together to taste, to like what we drink, not just to
And so
not just to be stuck in our ways, because I'm a guy who's old and stuck in my ways.
And the thing is, we'll find things that we may like that we didn't realize we like. We thought we didn't like it.
Now, my mom comes over the house. She's having a gin and tonic. Wait till she has the botanist gin, because she usually has, what's that blue bottle one? I don't even know.
Beef Eaters has red on it.
I want to say it's Beef Eaters, but it's that's the gin that's almost always in our house. It wasn't here because when I did a search for gin in the house, we had none today. So I ran to the liquor store and I went, what gin am I going to get? When I seen the bottle of the botanist, I almost got the premier. But I'm like, no, because I'm not going to drink this. I'm not. Right. I've tasted it. I don't mind it, but I'm not a gin drinker. I'm a vodka. I would drink more vodka and moonshine than I would drink this.
Oh, Bombay. Bombay
Sapphire. Yeah.
Yes. Bombay is one. There's another one. Hendrix is another one. Beef Eater it's got that red label on it with that guy on it. So those are the main ones. And so Hendrix, Bombay.
I'm curious. All right. If you watch the show, all right, or you see the show, put in the comments what gins you like and what gins you don't like. I mean, please tell us. I'd love to know what our listeners like and don't like.
Yeah.
The botanist, I'm going to tell you right now, I kind of like this.
And then Tanqueray.
Tanqueray, a lot of people, that's the one they usually say is Tanqueray.
Yeah. I
want to say Tanqueray and again, I forgot the one that we did in the beginning. Is the two that I see most.
Mm-hmm. But
I got to tell you, if you and I doing the podcast didn't do the podcast, I'd never found the botanist. And sure, that's why. By the way, my tequila, which when we do tequila in a couple of weeks, I have a tequila I swear by, and I have 6 different tequilas in this house. I don't touch any of them but one, which we've had in the podcast more than once, and you probably know which one I'm talking about. But it's going to be on because I like it, and I would drink it by itself.
Yeah, and I've learned to also like my locals. So, like I said, Gompers had their vodka, and then I got to taste their gin, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is actually really good. I like this. So it's just finding what you like, the flavors. Again, back to flavors. If you're not sure, go to your local bar, say, hey, can I get a flight of and the thing is, you have to taste them side by side.
Yeah. Which, I mean, if you remember, go back to our very first podcast, we tasted, I think 3 vodkas side by side. Mm-hmm. That's all we were doing was tasting. All right. And remember, if you remember back to our first podcast, I think we spent $150 in food each that night. All right. And probably another $100 in vodkas because we didn't know where our show was going to go, but now we spend an awful lot less. So
a lot of times we bring things that we have on our shelf and what we made for dinner that weekend. Mm-hmm. Because this was one that but if I know, like I have shrimp for the seafood something, that'll be in 2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm going to do seafood / shrimp something. I have an idea of what I might do, but I'm not sure. But when that happens, that'll happen. But that'll be that dinner for probably Sunday.
No, I have, so we have found these recently. I found these salmon patties. So it's like ground up salmon with almost like a crab cake idea. And I love them. So like, I'm probably going to take one of them and cook it in my iron skillet.
Okay.
And I may get a crab cake too and cook them both in the iron skillet and have them both with that. But it's funny, you and I were talking about the vodka, and we'll bring this up when we do vodka. I think we're doing vodka next week. My local liquor guy, him and I, we start, because every week I go and get something. I talk to him, and we got talking vodka. I think last week we were talking vodka, and he said, "Well, what's the best vodka you had?" And I said, Crater Lake vodka.
Of course.
And I said, he said, "Where's that?" I says, "It's only available in Oregon." I says, "However, my partner sends me some every now and then, and I keep a stash, but the stash doesn't last too long because once that bottle opens, it's getting used, maybe." And it's the one vodka that I don't mix with a lot of stuff. I will drink that with very little mixers into it. So, like if I'm doing a Bloody Mary with that vodka, it's vodka Bloody Mary mix. It's a good vodka. But I've recently found here in Texas this Western Sun, which I one of these days they're not that far from me. I'm gonna go up and I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna taste it, and I'll probably do a live on our Facebook page from it when I do there. And then I met this guy Trey who owns Danced Vodka here in Texas, and same thing. I'll get him on the show as well. So I always love getting our local people on the show. Anyway, but this was a good show. All right. I devoured my sandwich. And I still have a little bit of my gin and tonic and a little bit of my gin and lime juice.
Okay.
Guess which one I'm sipping on?
The lemon gin and lime juice.
Yep. It is the greatest mix by itself. Sometimes an alcohol is so good, it needs very little accent to go with it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we're at with the Botanist Gin. It doesn't need a lot to be added to it.
Yum. So we have a few things coming up. I'm going to be in Dallas in August with Tim.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're part of the Insiders Club, you will know where we're going to be at, and maybe you can hook up with us. But you've got to be signed up. So go to likethewayyoudrink.com and sign up. You have to be 21 or over in order to be able to be invited and join. So hopefully if you're in the Dallas area, you can join us. It'll be, I think, the 10th or the 11th, 12th, somewhere around there. I'm trying to remember when my flight is because I have a conference from the 13th through the 16th, but I will be there with Tim before then.
Hey, will you be here on the 10th? All right, we're going to talk offline why you need to be here on the 10th.
Okay.
All right.
I can adjust.
Well, you're going to change your schedule when I tell you. That's why.
Mm-hmm.
All right. But anyway, cool beans. So yeah, guys, go to likethewayyoudrink.com, join our Insiders Club, and if you're in the Dallas area, we will be doing something in August, and you will be invited. Probably doing a really unique tasting. All right, situation where basically it'll be a fun times where we'll be going to some place and having some food, some munchies, and a little bit of drink. So go there to find it out. This podcast, ladies and gentlemen, is brought to you every week by Gladys and I. Our businesses pay the bills. All right. Yes, we do this because we love it. It's fun for us, but it is also an opportunity for us to promote our businesses, and we have to promote our businesses so that our accountants agree with us that this is advertising money. There, I said it online. I don't care. Get a few drinks in me. I'll be honest.
You're always honest.
I'm always honest and always on top. So basically what we did a couple weeks ago is we made some very, very unique commercials about our business that we can play every week. And that's part of what we're going to do. So I'm going to go switch to them now. We're going to play Gladys's first, and then she'll do a quick follow-up onto it. And then we'll play mine.
Welcome to Insurance by Design, the expert in crafting tailored employee benefits packages, working with both your English and Spanish-speaking staff. Led by the acclaimed Gladys Boutwell, we're licensed to serve you in Oregon and Washington. Gladys brings a wealth of expertise with an MBA in international business and leadership, and is a certified insurance counselor. Honored for her contributions to Latino equity in Oregon, Gladys is also a best-selling author. Her book, Health Insurance Secrets Revealed, is revolutionizing how we understand insurance. With bilingual prowess, Gladys enhances communication, making insurance smoother and easier for all your employees.
And you want to add to that?
Yes. So let's have a conversation. If you want to know how you can attract and retain quality staff, go to enrollnoworegon.com, get on my calendar. We'll start the conversation. If you're not in the states I'm licensed in, or if I cannot help you, guess what? I will find somebody who can and who will. And this is my co-host and his commercial.
Here we go.
Is your website attracting the traffic and engagement it deserves? At SimpleEasyWebsites.com, we specialize in transforming ordinary websites into extraordinary experiences. Our experts know what it takes to make your online presence stand out and succeed. Gain valuable insights and tailored strategies with our professional website review. Don't let your website be just another page in the digital world. Visit SimpleEasyWebsites.com now and book your consultation today.
So I have it up there, simpleeasywebsites.com. There's actually, yes, a button on there. You can book a consultation with me. I'd love the opportunity to review your website, help you make a plan for what you're going to do with your website over the next year, and get it going. Whether you hire us or you hire somebody else, put together a plan for improving your website and make sure it's generating leads to get you success online. Other than that, anything else, Chief?
No, thank you all for being here today with us. Thanks to those that joined, in the chat and made your comments. Great to always see you. Thanks for being here. We appreciate you.
Yeah. We will see you next week. I think next week we are doing our vodka one. Same idea, but vodka. And again, it's going to be all on new podcasts that you've never seen before.
That's right, because that's part of the fun. Thank you all for being here. We'll see you next week.
All right, guys. Cheers.